Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you a 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hi everybody, my name is John Spillane. I'm a singer-songwriter from Cork City, and I'm delighted to be here in the Crown venue in Wexford tonight, Wexford Town, a place that I love, and I've often had great nights of music in Wexford down the years. I'd like to thank Crown Live. I'd like to thank the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sports and the Media for helping us in this time of COVID to put on these streaming gigs for you. So thanks so much. I'd like to start off with a song called Passage West, a song I wrote about the town where I live. And I'm going to do a couple of Passage West songs, then I'm going to do a Wexford song, and we're going to follow the trail. Thank you so much. Here we go, Passage West. I met my love in Passage West. The sun was sinking down to rest. The river to the stars confessed 'twas the dark-haired woman I loved best. We wandered down by the chapel square, and there was magic in the air. And Mother Nature gently pressed the burning river to her breast. I offered her a golden ring, my hand, my heart, and everything. I offered her a sweet love nest by the flowing banks of Passage West. Go, will you go, will you go? Or love, will you stay, will you stay, will you stay? Oh love, will you go, will you go, will you go? Or love, will you stay, will you stay, will you stay? We watched the ferry come and go. We watched the river ebb and flow. The tide breathe in, the tide breathe out. We watched the passage flowers grow. The ghostly forms of the hungry years in sad procession did appear, with hope and sorrow made their way for their passage west to America. Oh love, will you go, will you go, will you go? Or love, will you stay, will you stay, will you stay? Oh love, will you go, will you go, will you go? Or love, will you stay, will you stay, will you stay? The famine queen stood tall and proud. On either bank the people bowed. From Passage West came a Fenian yell. Rule Britannia, rule in hell. The grass grows green on the other side, and mighty ships sail out the tide. To far-flung harbours cross the sea, far away from Passage, my love and me. Oh love, will you go, will you go, will you go? Or love, will you stay, will you stay, will you stay? Oh love, will you go, will you go, will you go? Or love, will you stay, will you stay, will you stay? I met my love in Passage West. The sun was sinking down to rest. the river to the stars confessed 'twas the dark-haired woman I loved best. Thanks so much. That's my song called Passage West, and I suppose I wrote the song about 13 years ago at the request of a local neighbour, a man called Walty Murphy, who approached me, pressed a book into my hand and asked me to write a song for the town. And I wrote the song for the town, and it turned out to be one of my best songs. And in fact, about 3 days ago, this Christmas, or this December in 2020, I received 2 new versions of it in the post. One from County Clare, Ger O'Donnell and Maria Ryan have an album called Motherland, and they've done a beautiful version of Passage West. And then I got a version of it from America on an album called by an artist called Hannah Harris, and I haven't actually listened to that version yet. I forgot to put it in the car and me driving down to Wexford today. But 2 versions in the one day, so it's proved to be a very good song for me. And also Mick Flannery has done it with me, and we've had great action out of the song. Then they asked me to write a follow-up song, and also for my Passage West muse, Walty Murphy, Walty like, not Walty, Walty. And he asked me to write a song about the story of his grandfather. And this is a song called The Ballad of Patrick Murphy, and it was a very big story in 1911 that this fisherman got murdered by a water bailiff in Passage West. And Patrick Murphy, I'll sing the song first anyway, and the story actually is in the song. So the song is called The Ballad of Patrick Murphy, and it was a great honour for me when this song was recorded by Christy Moore on his album Lily about 5 years ago. So here we go. Another Passage West number. John, shut up and sing the song. They lived beside the river at the turning of the tide. They lived beside the river. By the river they lived and they died. Patrick Murphy was a fisherman in the town of Passage West with a wife and 7 children. He tended to his nets. In 1911, one lovely night in May, he rode with 3 companions across to French's Bay, fishing for a living like their fathers done before. They were dreaming of the salmon as they waited on the shore. They lived beside the river at the turning of the tide. They lived beside the river. By the river they lived and they died. Till the bailiff's boat came down the lee, the dreaded Morricone. They came down from Blackrock Castle. They snuck down past the Moocon, for the Morricone were gangsters in the service of the crown. And they came down with revolvers and they shot Pat Murphy down. Bring in that man who shot me before you and I must part. I bear no grudge against him, I forgive him from my heart. They lived beside the river at the turning of the tide. They lived beside the river. By the river they laughed and they cried. By the river they lived and they died. 2011, we are gathered on the green to remember Patrick Murphy in beautiful Turin. For the people still remember justice was not done for the killing of Pat Murphy by a bullet from a bailiff's gun. By a bullet from a bailiff's gun. Ah, they lived beside the river at the turning of the tide. They lived beside the river. By the river they laughed and they cried. By the river they dreamed and they sighed. By the river they lived and they died. Thank you so much. That's the Ballad of Patrick Murphy. Thank you. Well, I'm going to leave passage now. That's 2 passage west numbers. That's enough for you for the moment now. And I'd like to sing you my Wexford song. It's not Wexford town, it's Gorey, County Wexford. And I was honoured to have my own series on TG Carr in 2013 and 2014 called Spillane on Fánaí, which means Spillane the Wanderer. And there I was, lads, wandering around Ireland writing songs. I went to 13 different towns and I wrote a song about each one of those towns. Each song was better than the next. And they sent me to Gorey, County Wexford, a place very rich in history, and I wrote a song called Gorey. Without going into the Gorey details, here's the song. And it's also called The Ballad of Miles Byrne, and the song is based on a book called The Memoirs of Miles Byrne, who fought at 1798 all over Wexford. Then he went up to Wicklow. Then he went to France. And anyway, here we go. The Gorey song, The Ballad of Miles Byrne. I'm going to try plectrum for this one, lads. My secret weapon. Crone live streaming. Check it out. A little bit of plastic. When Miles Byrne from Ballylusk came a-riding through the dusk, all upon his dapple mare, there was freedom in the air at Camolan and Shillelagh, Castletown, Colgrane. With the brave United Irishmen he learned to march and drill. The men from Fort and Bargy, who stood with General Harvey, marched their gallant army up on Vinegar Hill. The ones who fought at Gorey fought for freedom and for glory. To liberate their country, they rallied to the call. The shackles of religion had impoverished her children. The brave United Irishmen, they stood for one and all. Equality, fraternity, and liberty for all. The floggings and half-hangings, picketings, pitch cappings, upon the heads of croppies, they poured their burning crown against the vile atrocities committed on the citizens. General Abercrombie, in conscience he stood down. The men from Fort and Bargy, who stood with General Harvey, marched their gallant army up on Vinegar Hill. The ones who fought at Gorey fought for freedom and for glory. To liberate their country, they rallied to the call. The shackles of religion had divided all her children. The brave United Irishmen, they stood for one and all. Equality, fraternity, and liberty for all. Such hellfire and damnation served upon the nation, to hear the pitiful wailing and the sighs of those around, to see the people murdered, see his chapel burning, cause brave Father Murphy to turn and stand his ground. The men from Fort and Bargy, who stood with General Harvey, marched their gallant army up on Vinegar Hill. The ones who fought at Gorey fought for freedom and for glory. To liberate their country, they rallied to the call. The shackles of religion had impoverished her children. The brave United Irishmen, they stood for one and all. Equality, fraternity, and liberty for all. The Presbyterian and the Anglican, the Catholic and the Mussulman, the Baptist and the Adventist, the wailer at the wall. The shackles of religion have divided all her children, but the brave United Irishmen, they stood for one and all. Equality, fraternity, and liberty for all. And bigotry beware, and tyranny take care, and villainy despair. Fogabalach Erin Gabra. Thanks, lads. starting to get going now. That was my gory song. Very proud of that. Very much based on the book called The Memoirs of Miles Byrne. Thank you. I'm going to put away my magic weapon now for the moment and go back to the beautiful fingerstyle on my Spanish guitar, Guitarra de Artesanía Manuel Rodriguez Almanza, España. Amigos. So, thanks very much. Well, I wrote 13 of those songs about towns. That's the gory one, and I'd like to do maybe another one or two for the crack. And here's a song that I wrote up in County Mayo in the town of Kilty-ma, or Kilty-ma, however you say it. Kilty-ma. They say it one way, 3 miles out one road. They say it a different way, 5 miles out the other road. But Kilty-ma, Kilty-ma. So thank you. Here we go. Kilty-ma, the dark wind from the mountain is searching through the streets downtown. Oh, Kilty-ma, all your lovely sons and daughters are scattered now like thistledown. Kilty-ma, a ville grow, we'll linger here a while by the shadow of that old Shlea of Horan. Oh, roses bloom, all along the yellow river. One childlike star steps out into the dawn. All my dreams, I dream them in the morning, I dream them at the break of day. All my hopes were like snow upon the mountain, they vanished like the snow away. Kilty-ma, a ville grow, we'll linger here a while by the shadow of that old Shlea of Horan. Roses bloom, all along the yellow river. One childlike star steps out into the dawn. Oh, Kilty-ma, the dark wind from the mountain is searching through the streets downtown. Oh, Kilty-ma, all your lovely sons and daughters are scattered now like thistle down. Thank you. That's my Kilty-ma song. I think that was the saddest and most beautiful of the 13 songs. I think Gory is maybe the best song, but it's hard to be sad and beautiful when it comes to songs. I'll do one more town song. I'll do my Tipperary one, a song called Feathered. And this is a funny song, and I tried to get a different angle in every town. This song actually contains a riddle in the third verse of the song, and the riddle is this. I'd like to pose it to you now to see would anybody out there, streaming land, be intelligent enough to crack this riddle. And the riddle is this. What made the hearse horse horse? Yes, what made the hearse horse horse? Well, the question is in the third verse. The answer is in the third verse as well. I haven't sung this song now for a long time. I hope I remember it. Since pre-lockdown. It's a bit of a tongue twister, like. Okay. What made the hearse horse horse, like? Got coffee, lads. Dum diddly-ya, diddly-um diddly-ya, dum diddly-ya, diddly-um diddly-ya, dum diddly-ya, diddly-um diddly-ya, dum diddly-ya, diddly-dum. As I went down through Feathertown in the county Tipperary, I met the goose and the loose. I'll take that one again, actually. I hope I'm going to get it through this song now, because, as I say, it's a tongue twister of a song. I wrote it myself. You think, if I don't know the song, nobody knows the song, like. Here we go. As I went down through Feathertown in the county Tipperary, I met the goose and the loose, and she muttering and stuttering, the dander of the gander, and he going to reprimand her. What's the use of a truce with the goose and the loose? Peace with the geese, and they feathered in Feathertown. In Feathertown, the sun goes up, the sun goes down, the old clash all he flows around. I wish I was in Feathertown. Diddly-um, diddly-um, diddly-ah, diddly-ah, dum-dum, diddly-ah, diddly-um, diddly-ah. As I went down through Feathertown in the county Tipperary, I met a mouse with a horse, and he training him a course for the big gold cup. Giddy up, the thoroughbred blood and the Coolmore stud, the party at McCarthy's and the fiddle and the griddle and the riddle. What made the hearse horse horse? The coffin, of course. And the undertaker, and the undertaker, the mouse and the house and the goose and the loose, the horse and the box and the hassle and the castle, the monk and the bunk, feathered in Feathertown. In Feathertown, the sun goes up, the sun goes down, the old clash all he flows around. I wish I was in Feathertown. As I went down through Feathertown in the county Tipperary, I met Sheila in the gig, and she dancing a jig. She clinging to the wall, and she laughing at them all, said they'll never understand me. Oh, the mystery, a history, the hassle and the castle, and the monk and the bunk, the skill with the quill. Feathered in Feathertown. In Feathertown, the sun goes up, the sun goes down, the old clash all he flows around. I wish I was in Feathertown. With the fiord, beard, crownord, queelord, schlievord, rievord, nor a chacken gay, cocken shield galair, hev na grene, the schliev na man. No? Gramagov, that's my Tipperary song, Feathertown. So like I said, I've got 13 of those kind of songs. I'm after doing 3, so I'll leave that alone now for the moment. And I'll do a couple of my, what we call, beautiful poetic songs, which is actually my forte, ladies and gentlemen, my forte, like. So this is one called, it's a song called There Was a Man Who Took a Wife to Walk Beside Him Through His Life. They walked through sunshine and through rain. They walked through pleasure and through pain. Thank you. Shortened to There Was a Man. That's a joke, like when you do that, when you do it at the gig, they all laugh. They all laugh, like. But we're streaming, so you need more neck for a streaming gig than what you do for an audience gig, because with an audience, there's some feeling of communication, and but with streaming, you just need a lot of neck. But we're building up the neck like a rhinoceros, lads, after many years on the road. Anyway, here we go with the beautiful stuff. There was a man. was a man who took a wife to walk beside him through his life. They walked through sunshine and through rain. They walked through pleasure and through pain. She wore a dress of yellow gold. She was a wonder to behold. And underneath a purple sky, she was the apple of his eye. And when the moon arose in flight, stars went blazing in the night. They crept into each other's dream and slept beside a silver stream. They flew together through the air and landed on a distant shore. They walked along a golden strand. They walked together, hand in hand. She was not the easiest woman in the world to get along with, if you understand. But then again, on the other hand, he may not have been the easiest man. But when the moon arose in fright, stars went blazing in the night. They crept into each other's dream and slept beside a silver stream. The world will turn and the rivers flow. The sun will shine and the winds will blow, while angels in the afterglow will light their candles in the snow. There was a man who took a wife to walk beside him through his life. They walked through sunshine and through rain. They walked through pleasure and through pain. She wore a dress of yellow gold. She was a wonder to behold. And underneath a purple sky, she was the apple of his eye. Thank you. That's There Was a Man. So, thanks a million. Another song which I would consider to be in my songs which are poetic is this next song called Garter Tagart, which I know is kind of unpronounceable and unspellable. Garter Tagart. It's a place in Bantry, County Cork, where my mother comes from, and I wrote the song about the farm there and the names of the fields. And this song has had a lot of success, and it's been used by a lot of field name surveys and been covered by some beautiful singers, and it has had a lovely life. And it's called Garter Tagart, thanks. Or sometimes I just call it The Farm. I sing the fields, I sing the farm, I sing the house my mother was born in. Garter Tagart, Kilty-ma, a green jewel, sewn in a patchwork quilt of fields between the mountain and the river. In this time now and in another, where I ran free with my brothers through the long meadow, the Connachon Rua, the Fort Field, the Park and a Clasha, the New House Field, the Gullon Field, the Clover Field, the Rushy Field, where the red fuchsia weeps in the hen's garden, and the angels bleed over Bantry Bay. I see the house, I see the yard, I see the stall, I see the stable, I see the haggard and the hen's garden, I see the hill, I see the well, I sing the spring and the well water, the flat field, the hilly field, the south raygrass, the north raygrass, the brake and the porky na hornan, where the red fuchsia weeps in the hen's garden, where God goes to sleep in the hills and valleys, and the moon rises over the haggard, and peace descends on Garter Tagart, and the angels bleed over Bantry Bay. Saddle up the old grey mare. Tim, Big Danny and Jackie Timmy are going to ride across the mountains to Puck Fair. I sing the fields, I sing the farm, I sing the house my mother was born in Garter Tagart, Kilty-ma, a green jewel. Thank you. That's my Garter Tagart farm song with the names of the fields, and especially used by the Kilkenny Field Name Association, who have used it in a beautiful book and a beautiful video and a lot of research they have in memorizing, noting down the names of all the fields, because of course, you know, with modern farming, of course, they're knocking all the ditches, you know, and making big fields, and that's the way it goes. But it's lovely to have the memory of each field and what happened and the names. So that's my farm song. So, well, I've done a lot of writing this year, the year of COVID, Spillane on COVID, and I completed a few things I had on the long finger for a long time. And I've revisited some songs. I have a thing called, well, songwriting is my big thing. And I have my own songs, but then I have things called half songs. And the half songs are like songs that are written by other people, might have written the words, or someone else might have written the tune, or it might be from a poem, or it might be robbed from somewhere, or it's not really my own song. And I call them the half songs, and I have one of them I'd like to try out on you now, and it's called Bartlemy Fair. And Bartlemy is a small village in North Cork, and it's famous for, well, it's famous for a lot of things, but it's famous for Napoleon's white horse, Marengo, a famous horse that Napoleon was always depicted on, was bought at Bartlemy Fair, supposedly, historically. But it's hard to prove it without the DNA and all that. And the problem with it is that Kilty-ma are claiming the horse as well. That's the ancient horse fair in Buttevant, also in North Cork, further to the west. But Kilty-ma have no evidence, but Bartlemy have the evidence, and the evidence is the lithograph from 1820, which shows, it's a picture, it's a lithograph of Napoleon Bonaparte mounted on his white mare, Marengo, which was bought at Bartlemy Fair, Middleton, County Cork. It says that on the lithograph. But anyway, there's a big picture of the white horse in Bartlemy, and there's a lot of folklore and surrounding the horse. And I was enlisted by a local journalist and farmer called John Arnold to write this song to strengthen the case for the Bartlemy having the horse. Like, they thought a good ballad would back up their case. And Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated at Waterloo, and his horse was, you know, actually taken, and the bones are in the British Museum in London. believe it or believe it not. And the people of Bartlemy wrote a letter to the British Museum, and they said, we make no bones about it, we want our horse back. But it may sound very spurious, but it's actually not. And there was a big journalistic piece done in the Spectator newspaper a couple of years ago, and they have a bit that comes with the newspaper, you know, the magazine bit, which is called 1824 or something. And they did a big investigation into the horse and the background of the horse. And it turns out that, like, during the Napoleonic Wars, there was a huge amount of horses and cattle and pigs and livestock and taken from East Cork and Waterford and Wexford as well. And it was a huge trade, wars, big business, and there was a huge flow of livestock. And at the end of the Napoleonic Wars, there was a big recession that went on for many years in the area, East Cork, Waterford, over to Wexford. There's a Wexford connection to the horse as well. It's a long, complicated, like, labyrinthine conspiracy theory about the horse. And the tail was meant to be in a house in Wexford, and if they could have got the tail, they would have had the DNA and this kind of... Anyway, look, you think I'm mad, but I'm not. So I'm going to sing you the song. It's called Bartlemy Fair. And the song is largely an old song called My Bonny Light Horseman, which is a Napoleonic waltz. And there are many versions of the Bonny Light Horseman, and this is a version that I found in O'Neill's Book of Irish Music. It's a lovely, particular, sweet melody. So, John, shut up and sing the song, Bowla. Bartlemy Fair, the half song. That was long-winded. Sorry, lads. Napoleon, he mounted his shining white mare that was bought for 5 shillings at the Bartlemy Fair. Her hymns and her traces all shining and new, from the forge up at Bluebell to the plains of Waterloo. Marengo, Marengo, you shining white mare that was bought as a foaling at the Bartlemy Fair. Napoleon commanded his armies for to stand, and he planted his cannons all over the land. He planted his cannon, his victory for to gain, and he slew my light horseman on his way home from Spain. Broken-hearted I'll wander, broken-hearted I'll remain, since my bonny light horseman in the wars he was slain. Napoleon, he mounted his famous white mare that was bought for 5 shillings at the Bartlemy Fair. From Ballyreedy to Ballanterry, didn't she dance, lads, didn't she prance? She was led down to Queenstown, where she set sail for France. Marengo, Marengo, you shining white mare that was bought for 5 shillings at the Bartlemy Fair. Broken-hearted I'll wander, broken-hearted I'll remain, since my bonny Bonny-light horseman, in the wars he was slain. Thanks, lads. I know I'm making a few little slips tonight. I think I'm out of practice a small bit. And also I'm doing stuff that I haven't done for a long time. And I suppose a lot of musicians are kind of rusty at the moment. But it's sweet little melody, isn't it, lads? That's one of the versions of the Bonny-light horseman. So thank you so much. That's the half songs. No, I'd like to do one of my centenary songs because having done 2 series with T.G. Carter, we've time for another few, haven't we? Yeah, I'll do one or two more. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of talking as well, but okay. Let me see now. We're centenary songs. So yes, I did two series on T.G. Carter called Spillane and Fánaí, and then I did a 3rd series which was called Ballad, where we explored the history of famous Irish ballads like Whiskey in the Jar, She Moved Through the Fair, The Dawning of the Day, and all these beautiful songs. And it was very interesting that I learned an awful lot, and I learned a lot about I learned, for example, that all the great 1798 songs were written in 1898. For example, Kelly the Boy from Killarney, Bull of Ogue, The Croppy Boy, all these songs were written in 1898, which was a huge centenary. And I think a lot of the things that happened in 1898 fueled 1916 very much as well. You know, the centenary was huge. And I wrote 3 songs about 1916 in 2016. And here, now in 1920, I'm writing songs about, in 2020, I'm writing songs about 1920. Because this is the year of the COVID, but it's bad, but things were actually a lot worse in 1920, and was like the First World War, and there was, but in 1920, tonight, the night that I am here at the Crown Live, and thanks again to the Department of Tourism, Culture and the Arts, and thanks to everyone here at Crown Live for inviting me to entertain you tonight. I hope you're being entertained. John, don't lose the thread. Keep it together. Have some coffee. Anyway, 1920. Tonight is the night of 100 years ago, the burning of Cork. And there's a lot about on the radio and on the newspapers about it. And the Cork city centre, a large area, part of it, was burnt down by the forces of law and order. Anyway, there was a lot happened in Cork and all over Ireland in 1920. Cork had 2 Lord Mayors. Remember them in your prayers. One was dragged from his bed and shot. The other starved in a prison cot. I made up that verse myself. Anyway, I'd like to continue with a song called Young Tomas McCurtain. And Tomas McCurtain was Lord Mayor of Cork. He was Sinn Féin, IRA, Lord Mayor of Cork. And he was killed by cops and soldiers who blackened their faces and dragged them out of bed and killed them in 1920. And I wrote this song in 2020 called Young Tomas McCurtain. And this is a reworking of an old ballad called The False Night on the Road. It's a ballad that comes from the 19th century. It's an English-Scots ballad where a kid encounters a false night on the road. It's the devil in disguise. And the kid is in a magic circle and he can't move or he'll go to hell. And it's a long, complicated story. It's for those of you who are real folky aficionados, you'll have heard of the child ballads. Francis James Child, 1850-something. Child ballad number 3, The False Night on the Road, reinvented by me in 2020 as Young Tomas McCurtain. It's kind of like a prequel in a Star Wars kind of way to what happens to them later in the year. Right, John, keep it together. Keep it together. Streaming live, The Crown, Wexford. Thank you so much. Okay. Young Tomas McCurtain, on his way to school, met a false night on the road. False night, on the old Mallow Road. Under Mourne Abbey, down by the broken castle on the hill. Where are you going? Said a false knight on the road. I am going to my school, said the child, and he stood, and he stood, and he stood. 'Tis well that he stood under Mourne Abbey, down by the broken castle on the hill. What are you carrying? Said the false knight on the road. My bag and my book, said the child, and he stood, and he stood, and he stood, and 'tis well that he stood down by the broken castle on the hill. And the moon hung down like a reaping hook on the old Mallow Road, under Mourne Abbey, down by the broken castle on the hill. What light can you see? Said the false knight on the road. The light of liberty, and Ireland will be free, said the child, and he stood. 'Tis well that he stood down by the broken castle on the hill. I will hang you from that tree, said the false knight on the road, and a good branch under me, said the child, and he stood. I will cast you in the sea, said the false knight on the road, and a good boat under me, said the child, and he stood, and he stood, and he stood. 'Tis well that he stood under Mourne Abbey, down by the broken castle on the hill. Young Tomas McCurtain, on his way to school, met a false knight on the road. False knight of the order of St. John of Jerusalem. Long have we reigned. Your reign is wrong since the time of King John. Time you were gone, said the child, and he stood, and 'tis well that he stood under Mourne Abbey, down by the broken castle on the hill. Young Tomas McCurtain, on his way to school. Thank you. That's my very ultra folky reworking of Child Ballad number 3, The False Knight on the Road. Will I do one to finish off, lads? Thanks so much. Real pleasure. I hope I didn't talk too much. They kind of told me on the way in that they liked the story, so you should never say that to me, because I kissed the Blarney Stone too many times for that. But anyway, thank you so much. I'll finish off with a song called Hey Dreamer, and it's been a real pleasure to play for you here at Crown Live tonight. I hope to be back here next year, and the place will be hopping, please God. Thanks to Dan on the sound, thanks to James Bell on the cameras, thanks to everyone here at the Crown, and to Clive, Barnes, and all the gang. You forgot who you are. You forgot what you are. You forgot what you're for. You've forgotten. You forgot where you're from. You forgot where you're going. You forgot everything. You've forgotten. Hey, dreamer, where did you leave your dream? Where did you leave your dream? Hey, dreamer, where do you hide your dream? Where do you hide your dream? a star in the night. You are a wave shining bright. You are a bird in full flight. You've forgotten. You are a child on the run. You are a ray of the sun. You are everyone. You've forgotten. Hey, dreamer, where did you leave your dream? Where did you leave your dream? Hey, dreamer, where do you hide your dream? Where do you hide your dream? Da-da-dam, da-da-da-dam, da-da-da-dam, da-da-da-dam. You are a flame in the wind. You are a leaf in the breeze. You are a song in the trees. You've forgotten. You are a star in the night. You are a wave shining bright. You are a bird in full flight. You've forgotten. Hey, dreamer, where did you leave your dream? Where did you leave your dream? Hey, dreamer, where do you hide your dream? Where do you hide your dream? Thank you, The Crown. Thank you, Wexford. Good evening, and thanks very much.